to another episode of the Modern Manifestation Podcast. I'm your host, Bree Brown, a lettuce-hating, wine-loving, curses like a sailor, recovering perfectionist. Having thrived in a male-dominated, commission-based industry, I'm passionate about helping women boldly pursue their life goals. In this space, we build confidence with our mindset, manifestation, and spirituality. I believe that your life manifests as a result of who you are, not what you do, and that your personality creates your personal reality. Join this growing community to increase your net worth by increasing your self-worth. Now let's jump into today's topic. Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Modern Manifestation Podcast. Today, as you can imagine from the title, we're continuing the discussion about Palestine and supporting the people over there that are going through really difficult times. And the reason I wanted to come on and talk about this again is because it's just really hard to go through your day-to-day routine knowing that innocent civilians are dying every single day. And few people are speaking out and trying to stop the attacks. It's just really hard to keep going through this without feeling numb. And I wanted to address it for that reason. And also because every once in a while, I'll go back through and I'll listen through old episodes of mine. And I recently re-listened to the episode on peace in the Middle East. And when I listened back to it, I felt like my message wasn't quite what I was intending. It sounded a lot like all lives matter, which is the defense to Black Lives Matter, right? You're trying to take away from the people that really need your attention, that are actively experiencing violence. So I wanted to come back on today to keep bringing attention to what's going on over there and talk about what we can do to try to help. Even though it's easy to feel helpless, but there are things we can do. And that first thing is just keep talking about the need for a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire. I am outraged over how many lives have been taken. Almost 29,000, y'all. It'll probably be 30 by the time this episode comes out. And I'm outraged that people are being gunned down while trying to get food. I'm outraged that mothers are pulling their babies out of rubble. I'm outraged that my government continues to use taxpayer dollars to fund violence. When does it stop? How much death is enough? Of course, we want both the Jewish community and the Palestinians to experience safety and peace. And the beautiful thing about humanity is that we can hold love and compassion for two opposing groups of people at the same time. And that's really what I was trying to communicate in my last episode. So while holding space for both groups and grieving with both groups, it's also important that we voice our concerns about the ongoing attack on the Palestinians. And I'm asking you to do the same. A call to your local governments to stop funding war, stop funding weaponry. A call for peace. This has to stop. It cannot keep going on this way. So choose your humanity above all else. Demand this ceasefire. Demand peace for Palestinians. This is not choosing a side. This is calling for an end to an active humanitarian crisis. Palestinians are diving bullets while searching for food. Women do not have health care as they give birth. Refugee camps are being bombed. This has to end. Choosing humanity means demanding that this violence ends now, not tomorrow, not the next day, not next week, not when more children are being pulled out of the rubble. Earlier this week, there was a quote I read by Hache Gengab that really stuck with me, and it said, "No peace-loving human being can ignore the carnage waged against Palestinians in Gaza." Demanding peace is choosing human life. Calling an end to this genocide is choosing human life. Calling an end to this wreckage is choosing human life. It's not sides, it's humanity. It's choosing human lives. And I know that some people say this isn't a genocide, but isn't enough that we have to question it? Isn't that enough to make us pause and say, hold on, this is really ugly and horrific? It needs to stop. The fact that we even have to question whether or not it's a genocide, and the fact that people are even getting into the nitty-gritty about like what determines whether or not something is a genocide, like that is absolutely asinine to me. What the hell does it matter at this point? It needs to stop. And if you're more interested in trying to debate whether or not this is a genocide than you are trying to stop the violence, that should tell you everything you need to know. That's the problem with society right now. People are getting clinical about this when people are dying. It's really fucking hard to just sit with that. A call for peace in Palestine does not take away the peace and love we desire for the Jewish community also. It's both. Peace for both, peace for hostages, and peace for the people who are being targeted in Palestine. The beautiful thing about humanity is that we get to love both. And calling for an end to this crisis is not saying that the Jewish community isn't important and invaluable, because of course they are. They are also deeply loved. And calling for peace in Palestine does not mean that we're brushing over the very real threats and hate crimes the Jewish community continues to face. That's awful. Hate crimes are deplorable. We can hold space for both issues. And just like with the Black Lives Matter movement, there's a group of people right now suffering and experiencing violence on a day-to-day basis. There's an ongoing crisis, and they need us right now. The Palestinians need us right now to show up with our voices. 29,000 people have died in Palestine since October. And the people who are still alive need us. These human lives need us. So, voice your support for an end to the wreckage and demand that your government step in to end these hellacious events. Demand a peaceful resolution. If you're in the U.S., you can call your congressperson and demand that they call for an immediate ceasefire. You can take part in your local demonstrations to support a ceasefire. You can support Palestinian businesses so they can rebuild. You can boycott businesses who have supported human rights violations. You can donate to emergency relief organizations that are providing aid to those in Gaza. You can learn more about the history of the area, learn more about white colonialization. And of course, I have to throw something woo-woo in there. You can meditate and you can send love to the Palestinians. Send love to those who need us. And for my dear Jewish friends that are listening, just know that we love you. And we're also worried about the hostages over there. And right now, those that are most in survival are the Palestinians. So, thank you guys for joining me today. I know this isn't exactly manifestation related, but I just can't help but feel like, what good is the spiritual community if we can't be there for those who are experiencing darkness? If we can't try to be their voice, if we can't try to bring light to them in some way. I wish you guys so much love this week. Take care of yourselves, and I will catch y'all in the next episode. I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. If you want to check out the show notes, head over to www.themodernmanifestation.com/blog. If you're loving this podcast, please drop me a review, share this episode with a loved one, and follow me on Instagram @modernmanifestation. I love y'all so much, and thanks for listening.